Let's go! My time is in! Gator! It's gonna be a football game tonight now. No doubt. It's gonna be a football game. Here. Okay. I done been here before. All right, let's go, baby.
9. Rushing 4, ball comes out of the hands of Newton. It's on the ground, and it's still on the ground. Picked up by T.J. Ward at the 4-yard line. Vaughn Miller did it again.
Alabama back on top of the college football world.
Ladies and gentlemen, football to the max.
Your host, Sean Garmer, Gary Vaughn, and Randy Isbell.
Hello and welcome to another Football to the Max, and the first one we've ever done on video that I am aware of. So thank you you guys that are watching, and welcome. We hope to make this a regular thing from now on. And of course, you also get to be on the ground floor of us trying to perfect how to do this for this upcoming season. We have 4 weeks to try to figure this out, how we're going to cover these games. We did this last year, but we had a sort of format that we did, and got up to the point where it was really hard to try to stick to that format and also not have the show be like 2 hours and 3 hours long, kind of covering these games. Of course, we all have Game Pass that we all bought separately, so that no one goes around and tries to say that we're doing something illegal here. We all kind of divvy up the games between the three of us, and we watch those condensed versions and try to get out of it what we can. And that's what we're going to do here with the preseason. Of course, preseason means a lot less, especially once you get past halftime. You got a lot of players that you're not going to recognize playing, but that kind of makes it fun sometimes too. I mean, what do you think overall this first week of preseason, finally getting back to football, guys?
Well, I mean, for one, it's good that we had some football, but the first preseason game means very little to 31 of the teams out there. The one team that you follow, you're paying attention to all of the extra players and stuff. But it's so tough for me this week to really focus in on a lot of things, because most of the games I watched, it was like, oh, there's the starters for 3 plays. Okay, that was fun. And then, okay, here's some people that you really should be paying attention to because they might make an impact. Okay, that's great. All right, now we're in the second half. Who are these people? What are they doing? Oh, okay.
You almost play the game in the second half of these games of, okay, that corner is going to be working at Home Depot in a couple weeks. That defensive tackle probably going to try to go open his own Brahms. Different, you're trying to, equate what they're going to be doing when they're not in this preseason mode, because most of those guys are not going to be on NFL teams. A spattering of them will be. It is difficult to watch, especially during this time where we've got a lot of young players and a lot of mistakes happening. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I got to see the color yellow quite a bit this weekend.
Oh, boy. Holding on the offense about 30 million times. What I felt like I was watching.
Yep.
That's all I felt like I heard.
Yeah. So
and
watching these games too, I mean, you're also getting a chance to see these new rules in place. Mm-hmm. That's affecting the penalties. And not only that, I think the NFL's in for a lot of trouble because concussions are coming, baby. That new kickoff rule, that people are taking it out of the end zone more now that they changed it to the 25.
Yeah, or they're trying to do the coffin corner, pin them back there, and it didn't work out that well for one of these teams. But let's be transparent, just for the fact of we do try to be as unbiased as we can. But, Gary and I are lifelong Cowboys fans. Growing up in Texas, I currently live in Miami, so that's why you'll see me covering the Dolphins the whole year. I've lived here for 4 years, but I've had family here, so I'm kind of a little bit partial to the Dolphins a little bit. But Cowboys are my team. Gary's Cowboys everything. I mean, you go to his house, he's everything Cowboys. And, Randy is a Jets fan. So just to be sort of transparent about if you hear us kind of talking about those teams a little bit more, that's because they're a little bit closer to our hearts. And we should probably start, Gary, with the ESPN not Monday Night Football game of the week. With the Cowboys and Rams, the Cowboys figure out how to lose it at the end because, Jamil Showers is not that great. But Dak Prescott looked wonderful in the time that he was on the field. Look, I know it's preseason. I know you're talking about him going against some second stringers and whatever. But there's nothing about how you can teach where he's placing that ball, and he was placing it right where it needed to be.
The thing about Dak Prescott, it is a knee-jerk reaction, and I think we can all agree probably that's where it is. And I'm not saying he's not great, for what he could do. He showcased that he can throw the ball, he can be accurate, he can be, that guy that I saw in college all year last year, the guy I bragged about, me and Randy talking on Saturday nights, and me and my dreams and hopes, and I got my dream to come true. But what it is now is this kid is playing in the comfort zone of the shotgun in this game, and that's great. But, he's got to get under center in the future, and so we may not be seeing this return performance right away in these upcoming preseason games. But for this game, it was nice to see. I'm going to disagree with the Jamil Showers thing. I don't think Jamil Showers is terrible. I think that he had no help. That offensive line's not very good besides the really good offensive line that starts with the Dallas Cowboys. And I think that defense of the Dallas Cowboys was atrocious because they were already starting their first team with secondary players. So, that game in the second half almost was just a waste of time for the Cowboys, at least, not for the Rams.
We'll have to see. I certainly don't want Showers playing anytime soon at all. But another guy, Chaz Green, too. Dude, stop holding. Please stop holding. Please stop clipping people. Just learn. This is a guy that they've been talking about forever, and the guy just looked bad. But I know it's preseason. I shouldn't be saying things like that. But I just wanted to make it a point that They kept talking about, we're going to put Chaz Green over on this side, and we're going to take this guy out. And he doesn't look like a guy that's ready to go right now, at least.
This is his rookie season right now. He didn't play his rookie season. He was injured. Yeah. So I don't believe in him at all. I don't, but that's what it is. I'm kind of curious, how Rams fans feel. They've got some decent things going over there. Cunningham had a pretty decent game. Todd Gurley, if he would have played in this game, he would have lit the place on fire. So the Cowboys are lucky in that aspect. And I look at, Goff as being a guy that's learning. I think people may jump the gun and say, oh, Goff looks terrible. He probably does, and he'll probably look terrible this year, but that's okay. It's his rookie season. You got to give these guys a little bit of time. But Goff was not impressive at all. Heck, Case Keenum didn't look bad.
I think Case Keenum didn't play enough to really look bad. He looked okay. The guy that actually looked really good was Sean Mannion. And the tight ends looked good for the Rams. That's about, I think, it. Jared Goff, he needs a little bit of time, I think. I would hope that Jared Goff is not playing week one if I'm the Rams and if I'm the Rams fans. I think give him some time to sit on the clipboard. I was talking to Andrew, the Rams fan that we had on, and he was hoping that Sean Mannion will be guy getting the start instead of Keenum, honestly. Mannion has some experience, and he seemed to be a little bit more in tune with some guys, more than Keenum. But, we'll see. We'll see. That we still got 3 more weeks of this thing, and, yeah. So, Cowboys lose at the end after leading the damn game for quite most of it. Very cool to see that, Lucky Whitehead, kickoff return, first thing. The dude is doing well for himself, at least.
It's a way to get eyes on you and a way to get make sure you get that extra spot on the roster. The Dallas Cowboys, surprisingly enough, have a war going on for that fifth and possibly sixth receiver spot. So he's trying to earn it.
Well, Randy, your Jets had to go against the team that you sort of really like this season in the Jacksonville Jaguars. What'd you see?
I saw two teams that I think are both going to be very good this year. For the little bit that the two starting fronts were out there, Blake Bortles was his midseason form, finding Allen Robinson all over the place. I mean, even if he was covered, Allen Robinson could be a top 3 wide receiver this year if you're looking fantasy-wise. I think he has gotten even better than last year, which is impressive. The thing that I really liked was seeing Quincy Enunwa really kind of take that next step here in his sophomore year. He could really make a big impact in the slot for the Jets. But other than that, I mean, you didn't really see a lot. Geno Smith looked decent enough out there as a possible backup for the Jets. Bryce Petty got some time, but at that point, you're against the third string, and the numbers are going to go a little bit different. I was impressed with the starting Jacksonville defense. They did kind of shut down the Jets a little bit, and that's going to be the big question, I think, for Jacksonville is how is that defense going to improve and keep them in games? And for the little bit that we got to see in the first preseason game, I think they're going to be just fine.
Yeah, that's certainly good to hear from both those teams. A lot of people are, liking the Jets, especially after Fitzpatrick re-signed, and especially the Jags seem to be that darling of the AFC South. Well, Gary, how about those Bucs and Eagles? Jameis Winston and his team against whatever it was the Eagles put out there.
Well, I think that the most interesting thing about this game was that there was a lot going on, and a lot, where you could definitely say that, Jameis Winston comes out and he's, doing his best to show that he's still, moving along in his progress at quarterback, and I don't think he did too bad of a job. I think the Eagles, for the most part, they had their times where they felt like really comfortable, and I think that they felt really good about what they had going on. But really what this all boils down to is that, Carson Wentz got into this game, and that was the guy that everyone wanted their eyes on. Everybody cared about him. They really wanted to see what this kid could do. And he, kind of like Goff, did not really impress a whole lot. I mean, he had some errant throws, threw a pick, just was not the guy that they were really, advertising. But that doesn't mean anything. Once again, he's a rookie. First week, you can't blame kids like this. They're just now getting their feet underneath him. The sad part about it is this guy now leaves this game with a fractured rib. I mean, no more preseason for him probably. But besides that, I think it was very interesting. This game had a lot of interesting aspects to it. I think that they did a good job of, showcasing what some of these receivers could do. At the Bucs got downfield. So I was very, pleased to see it. This game, for me, though, it was like all the rest of the preseason games, a lot of backups, a lot of people involved. I think the most interesting thing here also when it comes to Carson Wentz is they put him out there for the 2-minute warning, pretty much that 2-minute drill at the end of the half. Didn't even wait till after the half to put the guy in. So they want to get the work in with those guys, and they're really doing a good job. But once again, the Eagles, they still have some fluctuation going on.
Yeah, and that's going to suck for the Eagles, and it's going to take a lot of the fun out of the preseason because that's who you wanted to see in the preseason was Carson Wentz. So,
And I want to make sure I forgot this. I'm just looking at my notes. That Aguayo, the kicker, missed his first extra point, guys. Second round pick for the Tampa Bay Bucs, and he missed the first extra point.
Never missed an extra point while he was in college.
Nope. So it's one of those freak things.
Well, extra points weren't as long in college as they now are for the NFL.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So, I mean, moving on here to a game that I had to cover is New Orleans, the Saints taking on the New England Patriots. Sans Tom Brady, no Gronk in this either at all. Breeze was out there, I think, for like a series.
Did you enjoy the one pass you got to see?
Yeah, the one pass to Brandon Cooks for about 35 yards. That was pretty nice. Mark Ingram fumbled on his first handoff, which that wasn't good, but he redeemed himself with a couple of touchdowns, short yardage touchdowns. This is where you might actually get some good. If you're talking fantasy, you might get something good out of Mark Ingram for your short yardage touchdowns because he's the biggest sort of back that they have. Garrett Grayson actually looked okay. I thought he looked okay for the Saints, honestly. I mean, some jitters or whatever, but I thought he looked better than Luke McCown when he came in. So, and let's be honest here, everybody, preseason, you're going to focus more on the offensive guys. You know why? Because you might actually know who they are. The defensive guys, you're probably not going to really know who they are. And if even then, the way that they shoot stuff, other than like the corners and some of the linebackers, you're not really going to be able to see a lot of what the defense is doing because they're doing vanilla defenses. So you're really not going to get them to stand out. You're going to be looking at the quarterbacks, the skill position guys. That's who we're going to be talking about here. So sorry if you're wanting hot takes on the best corner out there or whatever, probably not going to get it for these 4 weeks here. But this Gaffney kid for the Patriots, 40-yard run for a touchdown. He looked pretty explosive when he was out there running. That's a guy I think pay attention to for Patriots fans because Blunt was his normal I'm going to do some stuff here and whatever. Really sad thing with the Patriots, Malcolm Mitchell, who looked really good when he was on the field, already hurt. And he was a guy that could get hurt a lot at Georgia as well, so kind of sad because he looked like he could be one of those receivers that Tom Brady might like and could be a good receiver for the Patriots. And Martellus Bennett was heavily involved there at the beginning there for Garoppolo. Garoppolo looked pretty decent. Brissett did not. It's sort of kind of like that thing with the Cowboys. Garoppolo looked like he knew what he was doing, the experience, been in the system a bit. Brissett looked like every bit of a rookie starting out. So overall, Patriots win and, do Patriots things.
Do you feel better about Garoppolo now?
It's hard to say because, Saints defense is still a Saints defense. So, maybe when the Patriots play somebody else, and also really bad news for the Saints. Huge deal for them. Broken fibula for Sheldon Rankins. So, and not even in the game, the next day at practice. Or on Monday at practice, too. Just, he was going to be a huge part of that line.
How many first rounders this year so far have gotten hurt? I mean, I know we had Ramsey before even getting into camp, really getting injured. Now this. I mean, I think there's other guys in the first round that have been just getting banged up. Yeah,
Randy. Let's go on to another game that you watched. Just a blowout for the Broncos, 22-0.
Yeah, we can skip on the Bears. I don't think anything of note happened there other than it's the Bears and they're not that good. So really the one thing that I wanted to focus on was the battle between Sanchez and Simeon and which one really stood out. And to be honest, Mark Sanchez was the old Mark Sanchez that I remember. Dink and dunked his way through the offense, made a couple really nice plays, used his feet to get out of the pocket a few times, stuff that I've seen as a Jets fan for many years. Threw a touchdown pass, that's great. Also made a really shitty decision and threw an interception. That's Mark Sanchez. Simeon didn't really impress me. I mean, this is preseason game number 1. We have 3 more. I think the battle is still there. But nothing really stood out, nothing really flashy yet. We'll see kind of how things go. I'm still curious if they give him the starting spot in game 2, just to kind of even things out, to kind of see what's going on there. But nothing really jumped out. Just the Broncos obviously are a better team from top to bottom. And you see that here with whatever you want to say as far as they win the game. But my big takeaway is Sanchez is the Sanchez of old. A few dumb decisions, but for the most part, a decent quarterback.
All right, Gary, you've got the Falcons and Redskins.
Yeah, this game was not overly impressive, to be honest with you. It was a lot of back and forth. Kirk Cousins and Matt Ryan did play in this game. Really, honestly, Kirk Cousins did a fine job. Nothing super special. Didn't do anything spectacular. I know coming out of last year, people were expecting this guy to float in the air. That didn't happen, but he did a fine job getting the ball down the field. That was, looking okay. Matt Ryan, same kind of thing. I think really when it comes to first team, the Redskins kind of won that thing. It's obvious. Their receiving core is ready. They're here. So getting those guys out of the game, some of the other guys that I've found really interesting were, of course, these backups. Colt McCoy, you kind of know what you got in him. He kind of showcased a little bit here. But nothing overly special. Matt Schaub, returning to the Atlanta Falcons as a backup, this guy, once again, goes back to what Matt Schaub does well, and that's throw the deep ball, and he really did a great job. Aldrick Robinson looked awesome in this game. He made him look like, this guy is next Julius Jones or something. But I think that also has to do with vanilla defense once again. So you can't look too far into that. I think that, and the bottom line of this is that, I think these teams kind of showcase that, they've got a plan in place. They've got some young talent that can do some things. I think the Redskins have a young guy in Marshall who looks pretty good. I think that we've got some cool things going on with both these teams. But I think in the end, you look at special teams, and I think it helped the Falcons. They got a kickoff return in the second half to start the thing. So they kind of get an advantage. That's when you look at the scoreboard and say, okay, I get it. But nothing too special out of either of these teams, just kind of vanilla.
Yeah, I'm probably going to hear that a lot. Kind of vanilla. But, I had the Lions and Steelers. Matt Stafford looked okay. This offense was moving. I'll say that much. They were certainly getting things going. Dwayne Washington had a 96-yard kickoff return. He was the one that I talked about where they tried to pin him back there, and that didn't work very well. Jake Rudock actually looked pretty decent, too. The Michigan quarterback, he had a nice touchdown drive, a nice 27-yard touchdown to Jace Billingsley, who also looked good. You didn't really have any big stars for the Steelers either. So that was another thing to kind of take into account here, that the Steelers were kind of missing. They didn't even get to see any of the big guys for the Steelers as a whole. And Landry Jones looked bad. He just did not look he was getting sacked a lot. He looked very nervous. He looked like he wasn't really sure of who he's throwing it to. He did have a nice throw to Darius Hayward-Bay, and that was about it, honestly. For being a guy that hadn't been with the team very long, Andre Roberts was pretty decent, and it's the Lions just much better than the Steelers on this day, and yeah, it looked like that team might actually not be too bad, at least in the offense, as far as what we already saw them do last year. Coming into this year, it looks like that's rolling. And Anquan Bolden only had one catch for 30 yards, but he looked good on that 30-yard catch, though. Might be one of these that, watch out, pick him late in a fantasy, and he could do something. He's going to be like their only big receiver. So, Randy, let's move into talking about those Green Bay Packers and the RG3-led Cleveland Browns.
So, yeah, I think that's where we got to focus on is RG3, right? The little bit that he was out there, he looked okay. He had the one deep pass to that was right. It was to Terrell Pryor, who's converting himself to wide receiver, which is good to see. But also through an interception at the goal line It's going to take a little bit of time to kind of get things rolling there for that offense, but I like to see that they're using this preseason to kind of open things up and just try things. Again, at some points, interceptions don't matter in preseason. You're just trying different stuff. As far as Green Bay goes, if you wanted to see people hand the ball off a lot, that was Green Bay in the first half. I mean, they were basically just going, let's see what Eddie Lacy has. Let's see what these other running backs have. So work on the offensive line. I'm going to throw it around here and there. It was just ho-hum day for Green Bay. But RG3 has some kinks to work out. But as far as the first going with the Browns, it was not terrible.
Gary, your last game here, the Chargers and Titans.
You know what? Really, this game was very interesting for the fact that, we're going to talk about running game and not quarterbacks. I know it sounds ridiculous. You know what you got in Marcus Mariota. He showed it to you in this game. You know what you're going to get out of Phillip Rivers. He showed it to you in this game. He's going to get the ball downfield. Both these guys are. What's most interesting to me, though, is that we kind of got the proof in the pudding when it came to Melvin Gordon. In tight spaces, not so good. In open spaces, actually really good. Phillip Rivers was able to get a pass to him in a flat. He ran for a long touchdown, so that was kind of cool to see. Finally get to see a flash of what Melvin Gordon could possibly be. But outside of that, he didn't play a whole lot, so nothing really to write home about besides the one touchdown. The other team, though, ran the ball very effectively. In fact, we got a chance to see DeMarco Murray. He ran for a big gain, his first handoff in this game. And then, of course, he got a long touchdown run later in the game. So, you already look at DeMarco Murray as being a big hit in Tennessee. Once again, vanilla defenses, what are you going to read into it? I don't know. But it does show that this guy is motivated. And then you go over and then you go Derrick Henry. What is this kid going to do? Fresh out of college. Same thing. He's going to pound the ball, and boy, did he do it. They did a good job near the goal line getting Henry the ball, and he went in for a touchdown. Heck, even Bishop Sankey got a touchdown run in this game. So you know what Tennessee's going to be doing this year, right? Running the ball. I think they proved it in this game a little bit, and, the rest of the game was ho-hum. But besides that was, some of the most exciting things.
Yeah, I had the Giants and Dolphins. Dolphins put up a lot of points, but they're sort of weird in that one of them was a freak play that the ball touches a Giants guy, goes through the hands of a Dolphins guy, and lands in the hands of another Dolphins receiver and Hazel, and he just runs it in because somebody thinks it's not a legal play. And then Duarte, at the end of the game, their 7th-round pick tight end, sort of gets behind the defense and just gets a touchdown. It's not, honestly, Tannehill didn't look good in the I think 3 series that he had. Nassib, Eli Manning did not play in this game, and Nassib, just tell you what, that guy, there's the reason why he's a backup. It's just, he didn't look good in this game, and Matt Moore didn't look good in this game either. Interceptions and sacks, and the defenses look good, tell you that much. Dolphins and Giants defenses, you kind of knew what you were going to get. You got some Olivier Vernon, you got some JPP kind of clogging the lanes there. So, Navy, Dolphins, and Giants, you're going to get some defensive battles there. But and the Dolphins, other than a few things from Williams, they might the issues at running back are going to be showing a little bit. I think, at least from when you get from this game, and don't sleep on Paul Perkins because he might be the guy that ends up playing down the line for the Giants. Even though kind of all the Giants running backs looked good at the beginning and then as kind of went on. It wasn't until Perkins got in that they looked better as it was. But yeah, just not the greatest game as far as just some great smooth play or anything.
So Shepard didn't get a chance to shine because Nassib couldn't get in the ball.
Yeah, I think Shepard had like 1 or 2 catches. It wasn't anything, outstanding or whatever. Randy, we now go to you as Gary is done with his games here. What'd you think of the Panthers and Ravens?
Kind of like what you were just saying about the Giants and Dolphins. The defenses did shine a little bit. I like the pressure that they were getting early on. My biggest takeaway is nothing. That's about it. I mean, no Joe Flacco for Baltimore at all, so you can't really look at the offense at all for Baltimore. They struggled a lot getting the ball going. Cam Newton just kind of dinked and dunked his way. We saw one catch from Kelvin Benjamin, so we're still waiting to kind of see how that's going to go. I guess really the one takeaway is the play that I haven't listened to a lot of radio this week, but I'm sure some people talked about where a young Carolina defender intercepted the ball and ran it 97 yards for a touchdown until there was a penalty for an illegal substitution on number 1 because he ran onto the field celebrating, and they had to bring it back. I was surprised I haven't heard as much like clamoring about how terrible it is that Cam Newton would run on the field, but that's what I love about Cam Newton. It's preseason. Who cares? You didn't take away this dude's first ever defensive touchdown. It's preseason. It doesn't matter. He was happy for his teammate. He wanted to go out and celebrate with him and have a good time.
That's a joke that they will get to sell forever.
It's just so great. And I wish they would have got it on videotape. I went back and watched the broadcast, like every single one, and none of them that I saw had footage of it. But that's my takeaway: is Cam Newton was excited for a young defender and got a penalty.
That's pretty awesome. So the Raiders and the Cardinals. Carson Palmer wasn't in very long, and he had his moments where he looked good. He has moments where he didn't. David Johnson also wasn't in very long. Drew Stanton, boy, all he did was overthrow people. That's a lot of what he did. What's his face? Dang it. Derek Carr was in for a few series. He looked okay. Matt McGloin. You can tell he has experience with being the backup and being the guy that kind of works with these guys. DeAndre Washington, I think, is going to be the guy everybody talks about as possibly that change of pace guy for Lamonte Murray, and possibly even starting if Washington really keeps going, because he had some long runs in this where he looked really good. Jackson Sipley actually looked pretty decent for the Cardinals. So that's a plus for them. And Connor Cook, he didn't have to do a whole lot. The defense was playing really well for the Raiders. And DeAndre Washington kind of carried him there for the one drive where they scored a touchdown, if I remember right. So, yeah. But Raiders kind of skunked them. And that's about it. Even the other guy, the other running back, Atkinson, there was one time he makes this move on a guy and totally makes him go the other way. And then he scores a touchdown. I'm like, oh, crap, wow. Okay. I mean, it's probably third string guy that's not going to play at all in the league, but still pretty cool to see. But, yeah, Randy, I mean, we keep rolling here. Anything on the Vikings and Bengals?
Just one I didn't get to really watch that much of, just kind of highlights. Andy Dalton not out there very much. Same with Bridgewater. Pretty ho-hum game. Big takeaway is A.J. McCarron continues to improve. I liked what I saw a little bit from him last year. He made some mistakes. But I think he came up big, and, they really let him shine here in the first preseason game. He was out there for most of it, more than any of the other quarterbacks on the team, and he could be one that could take over the role at some point if they decide Andy Dalton can't get him over that hump. If they finally go, okay, we get it, you're really good in the regular season, you're not winning us any playoff games. We're going to go to A.J. McCarron. He can, or I guess another way to look at it is he is auditioning for a different team, but he's still looking very good.
Yeah. So we move on here to the Indianapolis Colts and Buffalo Bills. Backups all the way in there for the Bills. I think Tyrod Taylor got like one series. McCoy got a few things there. It was mainly the backup. Scott Tolson I didn't think looked that great, honestly, in the time that he was in there. It was really the defense for Buffalo that was really, they were on everything. I mean, anytime it looked like Tolson was throwing, they were there to bat it down. They were just, so that defense came to play for this one. Cardinals Jones almost freaking got him the win at the end, but he didn't. They failed the 2-point conversion. Still cool for Cardinals Jones, I guess. This was, I think, one of the most competitive sort of games, like close games that you had in the preseason as far as that goes. But I didn't get to watch too much of it. But what I did get to see, I don't know how much you can take out of it because I don't really know who's going to be playing for this team that was there that we got to see. Other than the Bills, the guy that actually broke Geno Smith's jaw, he has got a major knee injury, probably some kind of ACL thing, and he's out. So that continues the Bills' injury woes there. I think you have one more game, Randy, in the Seahawks and Chiefs.
Okay. I've been waiting for this game. Let's just skip everything that happened in the game because not much happened here at all. Again, starters either weren't playing or barely played. Not much happened. Story time with Randy, okay? On Saturday, I was in a golf bowling tournament with a few friends of mine, and by the time we got to the bowling portion of this tournament, the Seahawks were on. Now, obviously, I live in the Northwest, a lot of Seahawks fans around, so obviously people are going to be caring about it, right? Not really. Nobody's really even paying attention to the TVs. It's just kind of on in the background. I'm watching it from time to time, just kind of seeing what's going on. All of a sudden, you get to the fourth quarter, and the Seahawks, who have their 19th string in, are down by 7. And the time is clicking down, and they're probably 45 yards away with time running down. Last play of the game, quarterback rolls out, throws a deep bomb into the end zone. Obviously, nobody's practicing Hail Marys at this point, so it's one-on-one coverage. The receiver makes a great catch. All of a sudden, they're down by 1. And all of a sudden, the bowling alley wakes up, and everyone starts freaking out like it's a regular season game or something. Like, oh my God. And then they were all surprised. They're like, what are they doing? They're going for 2. I'm like, oh, they're going to tie the game in a preseason. Of course they're going to go for 2. Why the hell not? No, yeah. Like, they were confusing the hell out of me. So they go for 2. They make it. They win the game. Everyone is stomping around and hitting things and making all sorts of noise while me and 3 other people are just standing there going, it's preseason game number 1. Seahawks fans drive me nuts.
Oh, man.
And listen, the Jets are 1-0 in the preseason. I don't give a fuck. I don't care what their record is. So for the Seahawks to win the game in pretty cool fashion, I will give you that. Yeah. It wasn't like Kansas City was going, oh my God, we have to win this. Let's go into prevent defense. They went, okay, they're going to go for the end zone, but we're going to stay in our defense. And the third string cornerback didn't make the play. Good God, just.
Oh,
and
wow. Well, I mean, Gary, didn't we win a Super Bowl one of the years that we were 0-4 in the preseason?
Oh, yeah, we did. Uh-huh.
Yeah,
and the season we won all the preseason games. We went 1-15.
Yeah, so that tells you everything you need to know about the preseason. It means jack shit. So, it's good to evaluate like the guys that are on the bubble and all that stuff. But as far as the starters that are getting paid the money, they aren't going anywhere. And that's to be said here of Brock Osweiler, who did not look good in this game against the 49ers. Blaine Gabbert got to basically compete with himself because Colin Kaepernick has a sore shoulder, did not play in this game. He had a 43-yard touchdown of Vance McDonald, which was actually looked pretty nice. Carlos Hyde fumbled, which is a problem for Carlos Hyde. He needs to figure that out. And the Texans ran it back for a touchdown. So that's one of the points that the Texans have scored in this game. I mean, overall it's the preseason again. Lamar Miller, or not actually Braxton Miller actually looked pretty decent in here. He had a ridiculous 24-yard catch, and I was like, oh, there's Braxton Miller. He's arrived. Will Fuller did not do a whole lot, but it's preseason. Tom Savage looked decent, so good that he's the backup and everything. And yeah, it's Houston wins, and it doesn't matter, and it's whatever. We'll see if we see more of Osweiler doing okay. But at least Gabbert got to say something for himself, going 4 for 10 and 63 yards in that touchdown. So at least Kaepernick, a little bit behind the 8 ball right now, as far as that goes. But that's your preseason. That's all of your games. Sorry if we didn't go in depth or anything, but look, seriously, there's not a whole lot to go in depth about.
It doesn't matter if your team won or lost.
Nope.
No, it doesn't, and it's really hard to get a handle on some of the players too, even those second stringers or whatever, because they can go out and have a terrible game in the next week, and they're back to square one as to who are we keeping, who are we not, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if we really. It's gonna be hard to try to work on this sort of format thing when it's not a whole lot to talk about, seriously. But we'll keep trying to work on it and see if we can whittle it down for week 2 of the preseason, which I think this is a week 2 or week 3 that they don't have any Sunday games. I don't know. It's week 2 that has no Sunday games, so everything will be wrapped up by Saturday.
Yeah.
So we'll still be doing this Monday, Tuesday morning, but just letting everybody know. This week had one Sunday game in the Texans 49ers. And then because week 3 is the dress rehearsal week, they actually have that one more spread out. But, yeah. So until next week, guys. Anything else you guys want to say? Or is there anything else you want to say before we get out of here?
I think we're good.
All right, so that's our first crack at trying to get this thing down before we get to the season. We'll be back with a week 2 recap next week. Of course, you can. Our division previews are still going. We aren't doing videos for those because we have interviews to take up a lot of those, and it's going to be kind of boring for you guys on the video side because you don't get to hear those interviews. So that's why it's always important. Check us out, iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, YouTube. There's audio versions. Tune in wherever you want to listen to your podcast. We're pretty much there. And we'll be previewing the NFC North. And just got one more division to do, the NFC East, and we'll be done with previews until the next off season or whatever. So, for Randy, for Gary, and for myself, hope everybody had a good return to football, and we march on to week 2 of the preseason. I'm sure people are doing fantasy drafts. I already did one. That was a chore. But, all right. Later, everybody.